Welcome to TheoCooks. Today we're going to be making homemade Gravlax. Perfect time of year coming up to the Christmas season. Easy to do, put out in the middle of a table and let everyone dive in and help themselves. Fundamentally with Gravlax it's basically salt curing a piece of salmon, and that's done with two main ingredients, which is salt and sugar. Coarse sea salt, which we're just going to drop in there, and we'll do about 3-4 portions of this. Now you really want to put into that an equal portion or slightly less of sugar. So I've got some standard white caster sugar which I'm going to add, and that's probably a bit about half. So I've also put in some brown sugar just to give a bit more depth of flavour with some sort of caramel hint to it as well. Now that's basically our sugar and salt mix here, cure, and we could put that straight on the salmon, job done. So being around Christmas, I thought it would be quite nice to add a few more festive type flavours to our Gravlax. So we've got some star anise, I've got some cinnamon, I've got a few cloves, we've got some juniper berries and some coriander seeds. I'm not really too worried about measuring those out and stuff. It's a funky type dish. We're going to mash all these together, pour it in the mix, and it will just give a hint of a flavour. In addition to that, we've got a couple of bay leaves. To help with the mashing of this, if you like, or the grinding, I'm going to grab another little pinch of the salt, which is going to act as an abrasion for it. And then we're just going to grind it quickly. I've also got a tiny bit of mustard powder, which again I'm going to add, and this is really just to give it some heat. And that is our curing mix complete. So let's cure the salmon. We'll get a handful of salt and just sprinkle it on the base. Grab your salmon, which is a gorgeous piece. I mean, this will easily feed 10-12 people's nibbles, and you'll slice it on the day, be beautiful. So we'll pop this into there. To give a bit of flavour, I've got some Ouzo, Ouzo, that I'm just going to drizzle on top of it as well, which again, it will bring out that sort of the anise sort of flavour within the fish, which will really complement it. And just about a shot or two. So dribble that over. This is our mashed up spices, which we're going to pour into there. In here now, you've got sort of a ratio of 1 cup of rock salt to about 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and then any other natural flavourings you want to add. So for me, I've thrown in a couple of bay leaves, we've grind up some star anise, some cloves, some black pepper, some juniper berries, some coriander seeds, which are all quite festive ingredients. They're the sort of flavours you'll get in mulled wine if you think about it. So we've put that on there, and literally we're just going to pour this straight on top. So with your hands, push this around. You want to push it into the fish, make sure it's all covered, fully covered in it. You know, and originally this was done by the Scandinavian fishermen. You know, Gravlax, grav comes from grave, where they would dig a large hole to bury their salmon in, and the lax is the salt to cure it. It would just be a way of preserving the fish. Now, in addition to this, I've also got some herbs. Dill is a really traditional flavour with Gravlax. You've seen it on every time. I'm just going to lay that out. Again, it's not. I mean, this is a very heavy-handed type dish. There's nothing really delicate about putting this together. You know, you're really just sort of banging a load of stuff together and then plopping it on top of a piece of salmon. Got a little bit of parsley as well that I'm just going to sprinkle on. You know, we're not even chopping this. We're just ripping it up, throwing it on, and covering most of the fish. And that's done. That's all you need to do. Now, the final stage of this is we're going to cover this in cling film, and then we're going to pop this in the fridge with a weight on top for 2-3 days, and then it's ready to go. So let's get the cling film on. I'm just going to tuck the cling film under the edges just to give it a bit more of an airtight seal. Basically, it's like putting a little baby fish to sleep, this is. Just tucking it nicely in, make it all nice and cosy, and wrapping it up for the next few days in the fridge. As a sort of double bagging process, I'm just going to lay another piece of cling film over the top. I'm not going to bother tucking this under the fish. It's just really to stop the flavours in here permeating around the rest of the fridge more than anything. So that's done. Firstly, let me just show you what this looks like now. The final part of this mission is grab another tray, something like that fits almost perfectly, doesn't fit at all, waste bloody time that was. Grab yourself a plate, that doesn't fit either. I'll tell you what we're going to do, we're going to use that chopping board, that fits perfectly. That is going to go in the fridge and I'm going to put on it everything I can to weigh that down. And then in 2 days' time, we're going to do the grand reveal. See you then. So, it's been 3 days since we had the salmon in the fridge, and you can tell it's been 3 days because I'm wearing a new t-shirt. My wife's standing behind the camera, and she's telling me I've got to be super quick, because we've got people coming around in 15 minutes, which we're serving this for. So let's get on with it. So, I've had this weighted down, we'll take the weight off, we've had a load of stuff on there, and all I've done over the last few days is just poured away some of that juice periodically. So let's take off the cling film. Just with the back of a knife, we're just going to scrape off some of that salt and sugar. Try to go with the grain of the salmon. If you go the other way, there might be a tendency you're going to sort of rough up the surface, which you don't want. So the smells coming from this are so aromatic. You can still really smell the dill and the ouzo and the cloves. That smells great. Now there's a load of salt still on here, so I'm going to give it a really quick rinse under some cold running water. Done. So we're just going to give this a quick wipe. And then I think we should carve a little bit up, see what it looks like. Okay, so now we've sliced a few, the way I would serve this is I'd have some sliced, some not sliced. So I think it's kind of cool for people to see the whole beast that it's come from. So I'll just lay these out really loose. I mean, this for me is a real sort of social sort of dish for people just to share. So I would lay these out on here. You can probably hear the kids in the background running around getting excited. About to burst through the door any moment. Right, so this is done. So let's have a look and I'll show you what it looks like. So it occurred to me after I finished filming earlier and all our friends devoured my Gravlax, I should have shown you how to serve it when you've got people coming round. First and foremost, chop some dill up, sprinkle that on top to give it a bit of colour and a bit of added extra flavour. We chose to serve it with bagels and some horseradish mayonnaise. And this is literally regular mayonnaise with a dollop or two of horseradish mixed in straight onto your bagel. And then slice a few pieces of the Gravlax, like so. And you're good to go. Easy. You can also, if you want, serve these as little mini canapés. And the easy way to do that is, as you've got there, chop this into something a bit smaller, maybe build up a little bit of the salmon to make it a little bit more indulgent. I would then put a tiny dollop of your horseradish mayo on top, get a little tiny sprig of dill for some garnish. So there you go, you've got a lovely little canapé to dish out, a gorgeous piece of homemade Gravlax. I don't know what more you could ask for. I hope you've enjoyed it, subscribe, have a Merry Christmas.